Hello everyone and welcome to Who Wore It Better, where I review Raw and SmackDown back to back and try and figure out which show won for the week. And the question on everyone's mind is, why Sami, why? You'll find out later. Raw begins with Miz TV. The Mizzies are back and they're climbing all over the walls. The Miz is handing out awards left and right, including to Cesaro and Sheamus for their contribution of beating down Roman Reigns the previous week. In his promo, Sheamus says they've taken the bar to the stratosphere and to the ionosphere. And my first thought was like, whoa, is this history in the making here? Are we hearing the word ionosphere said for the first time in a wrestling show? And then my friend on Facebook that night corrected me and said, no, Hulk Hogan did it first, because of course he did.
I'm just worried about where we're going from here. Is it this stratosphere, man? Is it the ionosphere?
The Miz does some more self-aggrandizing, then Roman Reigns comes out, then out comes Dean Ambrose, then out comes Seth Rollins. The Shield is back, and every time someone comes out, you see the Miz's face, his demeanor just keeps changing. I love his facial expressions in this segment here. The Shield come into the ring, they immediately murder Curtis Axel, they beat up the bar, they do the triple powerbomb onto the Miz, they do the fisty pose. The Shield is officially back. It's the building they debuted in, the building they broke up in, and the building that came back together. So it's just a very cathartic feeling, and we'll see this throughout the night with the Shield as well, and I'll talk about that in a minute, but just a really strong opening segment. Kicks things off the right way with the Shield coming back as everyone has been kind of expecting to happen. And look, if the ulterior motive of bringing the Shield back is to get Roman over, mission accomplished, because for the most part, I think they did that very well. Everyone wants to see the Shield back together. It works. These guys have good chemistry. Now they've all kind of like leveled up, having done their own like solo thing, and they're back together as a unit once again. Who knows how long it's going to last beyond TLC or whatever, but it's it's fun to see this happen right now. Speaking of TLC, they made a match later on in the night for TLC. They will have a TLC match against the Miz and the Bar, and that is going to change later as the night goes on. But yeah, definitely a great way to start off the show. Now let's keep this Shield thread going. I don't want to have to keep going back to it throughout the night, but you got Braun Strowman and Matt Hardy later on. Strowman does win, but Hardy does get some good moments in, including a twist of fate on a Strowman, which is pretty cool. But Strowman wins. He looks to do more damage to Matt, like carrying him over his shoulder up the ramp, and the Shield come out and they beat Strowman up and they do a triple powerbomb to him through the table, which is just, again, more cathartic feeling to see the Shield finally exercise this demon, because they all have a collective enemy in Braun Strowman. Like, they've all lost to Strowman at one time or another in the last couple of months or last couple of weeks in the case of Ambrose and Rollins, and they're finally getting their aggression out. Like, they feel invulnerable, they feel untouchable. Now they're back together again. They can do whatever they want. It's their house, their rules. There are consequences to that though, because later you see the Miz come out to Kurt Angle's office and says, we want to have a fourth guy on our side for TLC, because he wants to kind of call Ambrose's bluff, because in the promo Ambrose says, we'll take on 4, 5, 6 guys. So they bring in the fourth guy, and the consequence is Braun Strowman is now added to the mix. So this will be, I'm very, very excited for the match we're going to see here at TLC, because I like all 7 people involved in this thing. It should be a great match. Now let's go back for a minute and talk about that backstage promo, because there was one line in particular that needs to be addressed, because at the very end of the promo, Roman looks right in the camera and says, we are the workhorses that run this business now. And I thought it was very interesting. I think if it came out of the mouths of any other member of the Shield, it would have been more appreciated and more like responded to more positively. But I polled people like online, like, so do you agree with this? Are the Shield members, are they the workhorses of the company? And people were like, no, not Roman, because he's bleh. And like, I think again, it's a matter of perspective and bias and everything. I think Roman Reigns works just as hard as the other 2 guys of the Shield, just as hard as the Miz and as the Bar and whatever, because all these names other people were invoking, like, well, you're saying the Miz doesn't work hard, or that the Bar doesn't work hard? Like, no one is saying that. I think this is a tangent I'm kind of going on here, but the whole idea of like workhorses and how hard people work, and that people are deserving of things in wrestling because of how hard they work. And like, look, in WWE, everyone works hard. Everyone is kind of a workhorse, because that is the mentality. That's the culture of the company. You have to work your ass off every day of the week, every week of the year, forever, until you die. That's pretty much how it goes, because the minute you start to slip, they don't look at you as fondly anymore. And so, yeah, Roman works hard. Like, there's no denying that. Dean works hard. Seth works hard. Triple H, he works hard when he's on camera. Samoa Joe works hard. Braun works hard. Everybody works hard. And so the idea of so-and-so is more valuable or more deserving of things than the other because of how hard they work, I think that's kind of a silly argument to make. Let's move back a bit to some other other matches going on here. In the first hour, you've got Jason Jordan and Carl Anderson in a short little match where Jordan wins after thwarting some distraction attempt by Gallows in the match. So, that's good for Jordan. Let's get some more singles wins for this kid as he tries to, move up the ranks. And then right after, you have Elias and Apollo Cruz, which, we're getting this match again. Elias is already 2-0 against Apollo Cruz, and that does not change here because he beats Apollo Cruz once again. I will say, though, I popped for Titus O'Neil coming out at first with the banjo. That's probably the most over thing he's done in a long time. Then they immediately just ran it into the ground with Titus playing banjo poorly to introduce Apollo Cruz. You had it and then you lost it. Oh, and by the way, am I the only one who thought it was very weird that Elias used old school in the middle of the match for no reason? Mickey James comes to the ring and cut a promo on Alexa Bliss. Really, this whole segment was pretty entertaining. Mickey comes out and tells Alexa to get off that booster seat and put on her big girl pants. Then Alexa comes out and presents a tribute to Mickey James, which is just old-timey, film grainy stuff with sepia tone and the old-timey accent doing the narration about how young Mickey James used to be back in her prime. Pretty funny package. I can just picture Alexa Bliss going to the production truck telling, hey, can you make this package of an old-timey guy talking about how Mickey James is old? I don't know, that was pretty funny. Alexa then rattles off a never-ending stream, this litany of old person jokes, wrapping it up with a VHS reference. Oh, I die a little inside at the VHS reference. Mickey tells Alexa to bring her biscuit butt into the ring, and Alexa says no, but they fight anyway. Kudos to Alexa for doing all that fight work in heels. That could not have been easy. So Mickey wins the segment again. I mentioned last week how the way they're just pounding into your head, the whole ageism thing. Oh, Mickey James is so old. She's 38. Isn't that funny how old she is? But I think Mickey's getting a lot of good licks in here. I'm sure she's ultimately going to lose this feud to Alexa because they're killing time until Asuka comes and challenges for the championship. But at least this rivalry is entertaining. Cruiserweight time, Brian Kendrick and Jack Gallagher taking on Mustafa Ali and Cedric Alexander. Good little match. Everyone got their shit in. At the end, Kendrick wins the sliced bread number 2 on Ali to win the match, and that's pretty much all I can say about it. It was a shorter segment for the Cruiserweights, but hey, in the last few weeks, we've been seeing a lot of Cruiserweight segments, so it doesn't feel so bad. And introducing Bray Wyatt as Sister Abigail. Yes, it's an old joke I made a couple of weeks ago, but it works here too. Finn Balor starts the segment out by coming out to the ring and basically just shitting on this idea right away. It's the Sister Abigail. Oh, this guy's crazy. Bray shows up on the big screen, morphs into Sister Abigail, and makes a very long speech. At no point did Finn ever think to talk back to it or try to interrupt him. The Bray Sister Abigail bit does a lot of work into providing exposition as to who Sister Abigail was and the relationship she had with Bray before she was killed. She was martyred essentially for knowing too much, knowing the truth, and people didn't like her for it. And then when Sister Abigail talks, really painting Bray into kind of a sympathetic light as this person, this kind of a victim, kind of like a prisoner of Sister Abigail's whims. So what I gathered from this is it's basically one of two things. It's either just a split personality thing, kind of like Norman Bates in Psycho, which they made a direct reference to in the promo when Sister Abigail says that Bray wouldn't hurt a fly, or it could be a thing where it's a supernatural force that inhabits and enslaves Bray to do her nihilistic bidding and who could occasionally shapeshift if the need arises. To which I say, if that's the case, fuck yeah, let's go with it. Let's go all the way with this. Because, how often have we seen stories in books and movies and TV shows and comic books of supernatural beings or superhuman beings coexisting with humanity? We've seen this for a long time. It's a tale as old as time. So why not have something like that in wrestling? We have The Undertaker, but I feel like what Sister Abigail is here on Raw was so vastly different on this whole other plane of existence than what we saw The Undertaker do with the occult and the spirit of The Undertaker, all that stuff. It's a very different feel with Sister Abigail, and I'm really curious as to where this goes. I loved this segment, and some people are going to shit on it. Some people think the whole Sister Abigail thing sucks and is cheesy, but I'm really optimistic for it. I know, I'm foolishly optimistic. I think the whole crux of this is this gimmick needs to win in order to work. That is the one thing that makes this thing worth it. If Bray Wyatt or Sister Abigail does not win, or if they lose anytime soon, it's done. It's pointless, because this whole thing is now they've unleashed the beast. Sister Abigail has been unleashed and is out there, and now it's Bray's final form, essentially. So this is kind of like the evolution of Bray, like I talked about last week. This should be the turning point that allows Bray to just win pretty much all the time now, until something comes along that knocks him off his perch. But this needs to be the new big threat. This needs to win. That's pretty much all I can say about it, which makes me feel like, even though I'm optimistic, I'm not. I got like a million tweets about this moment here on Raw because apparently backstage, Kurt made a fatal five-way match between Emma, Bayley, Sasha Banks, Dana Brooke, and Alicia Fox to determine who will face Asuka in Asuka's debut match at TLC. You know, the only thing I'll say about the backstage segment where they announced it was the segment ended about as awkwardly as like, you know, a quarterly meeting between regional managers of a grocery store chain. Is this kind of like, are we good? Yep. Great. I love the fact that every time it opens up to like one of the authority figures on the phone talking to somebody, it's always about the show like, oh yes, I know the Shield reunite tonight. It's been a great night so far here on Monday Night Raw. Don't you wish, like, is that all they talk about on their phone? Don't they talk about just normal human stuff like, yeah, I'm going to get my roof looked at next week, or, I never realized that about Frazier. The match itself was fine. You know, Brooke was eliminated first by Bayley, and that's the thing. No one really knew it was an elimination match until that first elimination. I think I read somewhere that, you know, the script was updated so late, Michael Cole didn't get the update because he's like, I didn't know it was an elimination match. Neither did we. Alicia then eliminated Bayley with the axe kick. The announcers sold the axe kick like death, even though it was like one of the shittier axe kicks I've seen Alicia Fox do. Then Sasha makes Alicia tap to the bank statement. Emma immediately rolls Sasha up and pins her. So Emma wins the match and will go on to face Asuka at TLC. Yes, of course she's going to lose. We all know that. But hey, it's a hell of an honor to be the first opponent for this big name they're bringing in from NXT. Asuka is the world beater. So, you know, it's really cool to see Emma from, you know, doing nothing a couple of months ago and being the kind of butt of jokes and just not on TV and jobbing all the time, to now she's jobbing on a bigger stage with, you know, an actual with a big star. So kudos to Emma. I can't complain. So earlier in the night, Enzo comes out and cuts another very entertaining promo full of like one-liners and puns and plays on words. Like, why is this guy a heel? I don't understand it. It's basically, again, it's what you make it. It's what you want him to be. He argues with Kurt Angle about the title match at TLC with Kalisto, and Kurt says, fine, we'll bump it up to tonight. And then Enzo says, well, let's make it the main event again because I'm, you know, the biggest draw in the Cruiserweight division. And then Kurt counters him again, saying it's going to be a lumberjack match. That brings us to the main event. It's Cruiserweight title match, Enzo and Kalisto, and it was a really entertaining match. Absolute belter of a match. Great way to close the show. At one point, all the lumberjacks are beginning to brawl. A big superplex onto the outside onto all of them. Kalisto hits a Salida del Sol onto Enzo from the top rope to win the match, and he's the new Cruiserweight champion. Like, that's kind of weird. Like, he was just totally obscure for the last several months. He comes back in here, and like in his second appearance in 2 weeks, he wins the Cruiserweight Championship, which again, about 11 months too late, but we're finally here. And so it's a very interesting story these last 2 weeks about Enzo's like reign of terror and his like stranglehold of the Cruiserweight division, this tyrannical ruler finally vanquished by Kalisto with his traditional Cruiserweight style. He did a good lucha thing. Oh, what a tremendous story. And all this, to think that this all happened because Neville apparently pulled a CM Punk and just walked out of the show on Monday because he didn't want to do the job to Enzo Amore. Allegedly. That's what I heard at the time of this recording. So don't know what's going to happen with Neville. He apparently is allegedly asked for his release, which would be sad if it happens. You know, hopefully he'll go on to do great things once he's out of the company. The Usos and the New Day opened SmackDown this week, and they're basically putting themselves over about the amazing work they did at Hell in a Cell on Sunday, rightfully so. It's very reminiscent to me of, like, again, a couple of years ago when they first started feuding, and this was kind of the beginning of the New Day as kind of they're turning from like heel to tweeners, basically. They did a very self-congratulatory, hey, we had a really good match that last night promo. I can't remember the date, the exact time, but this is what this promo kind of reminded me of. Then all of their tag teams on SmackDown. You've got the Hype Bros, Breezango, the Ascension, Benjables all coming out here and saying they want a shot at the tag titles. And then Daniel Bryan makes a fatal four-way match right then and there for the number one contendership. The four-way match is pretty entertaining. Some more teased conflict between the Hype Bros, some incidental contact causing some confusion and frustration. It comes down to the end to Breezango and Benjables. Benjables wins the match when they hit a double team move onto Tyler Breeze, and that's pretty much it. So they become the new number one contenders. We're finally going to take a break from the New Day Usos feud, as fun as it's been. It's time to finally move on and have some new blood for the Usos to fight and really kind of assert themselves as like the tag team to beat on SmackDown. So there you go. After a backstage brawl between Charlotte and Natalya, you've got Carmella taking on Becky Lynch in singles action. Standard match. Ellsworth gets some heat on the outside on the corner because he's chained up to the turnbuckle. Becky ultimately wins with a disarmer because, you know, Money in the Bank winners, they lose a lot. Finally, we get the answer to the question questions we've been asking since Sunday. Why, Sami, why? Kevin Owens first comes out and talks about his near-death out-of-body experience where he went to the pearly gates, and then they said, no, it's not your time yet, but we're going to give you a guardian angel on the way back, Sami Zayn. And so Sami comes out to his same music as before, which that was kind of weird. I don't know what you could do, like, what, I mean, I don't know, for those of you who are ska heads out there, please tell me what song would be good for Sami to come out to as a heel. Zayn's rationale for why he did what he did was like so perfect. It was completely justified into why he did it. He basically said he felt like, you know, he was brought over to SmackDown on false pretenses by Shane McMahon. Then when he finally gets here and sees what Shane and Kevin are up to, he realizes that Shane doesn't care about Sami, doesn't even care about Kevin, because the way he wants to try and beat Kevin at Hell in a Cell shows he has no regard for his own talent. He only cares about himself and his own glory. And so that's why Sami came out and saved Kevin, because at the end of the day, Sami and Kevin are still brothers. And then they thank each other back and forth. They raise each other's arms. A really cool segment. I mean, I've never seen Sami Zayn like cut a heel promo at all before. So to see him do this and to be so natural about it too, like he had the same kind of like smarmy attitude that Kevin Owens does sometimes, and that's to be expected because they have such good chemistry together. You think these guys, you know, act kind of alike when they do this thing. I thought it was great. I thought it was the best segment of the night, honestly, and also points to Kevin Owens for doing some very good selling from what happened on Sunday. That does not happen often. Up next, Randy Orton and Shinsegae Nakamura take on Rusev and Aiden English, because yeah, that's what we needed, more resolution between the Orton and Rusev feud. This was, you know, a match that was basically designed for the faces to win, had the fans be kind of happy. Shinsegae gets some of his heat back after losing at Hell in a Cell to Jinder. That's pretty much it. One thing I noticed too is interesting is that Aiden English, you've got Elias doing old school on Raw, and then you've got Aiden English doing the old Hunter Hearst Helmsley bow in the entrance. Is this a coincidence? We go to a promo package where we see Harper and Rowan back together again for the first time in a very long time. They're being rebranded as the Bludgeon Brothers, complete with giant cartoony Thor hammers. When I saw this promo, all I could think of myself was like, is this Southpaw Regional Wrestling? That's the kind of vibe I got from this. It was a bit of a Southpaw vibe here. You know, I'm just trying to be patient. I'm going to give it a chance. We'll see where this goes. All I can say is it took them long enough to get these guys back on TV. Bobby Roode comes out to the ring and celebrates his win from Sunday night, but then he calls out Dolph Ziggler for the fact that Ziggler hit him with the zigzag right after the match is over. So Dolph comes out and accuses Roode of cheating to win on Sunday, which he was right. That's exactly what happened. And then they awkwardly talk over each other for a little bit, and there's just some awkward pauses. Not a very good look, and then they make a rematch for, they challenge them to a rematch, but it's not gonna happen until next week, and like, great, can't wait. This is just dynamite charisma here, just it's radiating off these guys. Main event time, the US Championship rematch as Baron Corbin defends against AJ Styles. Quick question, if neither man gets an entrance, do either of them win? No entrance, no victory. Available now at ProWrestlingTees.com. This is a pretty good match. I really love when AJ does the springboard fake out, because he was going for the 450 off the ropes and Baron moves, but then he eats a phenomenal forearm anyway for his troubles. At the end of the match, Styles jumps off the apron toward Corbin on the outside, who kind of catches him, kind of like a power slam, kind of a Beal thing. So Styles spills out onto the floor. Corbin brings Styles back in the ring, hits him with the End of Days to win the match. Only question is, if Ty Dillinger was put into the match on Sunday to protect Styles, then why did Corbin beat Styles clean here? I think that they kind of added a step. Time now for me to decide which show won for the week, Raw or SmackDown, and folks, it's going to be hard to top the reunion of one of the biggest acts the company has seen in the last decade. Raw wins here by quite a lot, actually, when you look at both shows. There was just so much more compelling things on Raw this week. The Shield reunion and all the stuff that happened therein with The Miz and The Bar and the Strowman and how that's all playing into it. The Mickie James promo with Alexa Bliss was very entertaining. I thought the Sister Abigail thing, some of you might think it's cheesy as hell, but I liked it. I thought it was great. I'm very intrigued as to what's going to happen with Sister Abigail from here on out. Emma winning was a nice surprise, and again, I think it's a great honor for her to be given this chance to be the first opponent of Asuka. And then the Cruiserweight title match. I think, you know, you say what you want about Enzo as a worker, but I think he worked really well with Kalisto here, and the feel-good moment of Kalisto winning and dethroning Enzo was pretty fun to watch. And, you know, the only thing I didn't like about Raw was, again, we're seeing Elias and Apollo too much. And again, just, you know, Fatal 5-Ways. It's lazy. It's the laziest thing they can possibly do, how frequently they use it. So yeah, that's my take on Raw. With SmackDown, really the biggest thing for me was Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. They nailed that bit. I loved the rationale Sami Zayn had for why he did what he did to help Kevin Owens. The tag team 4-way was pretty entertaining, as was Styles versus Corbin, but I think the Roode Ziggler segment kind of came to an ass-grinding halt. I just didn't like the flow these guys had. It was not very good. And a couple of notable omissions omissions from this show. First off, the WWE Champion, Jinder Mahal, wasn't there at all in any capacity. And sure, you know, he's not a very likable guy. A lot of people, you know, again, I get why people don't like Jinder Mahal, and I'm starting to feel that way as well, but like, he's the champion. He just won a big match at Hell in a Cell. He's not even there. Thought that was kind of weird. And here's a weird thing. No Ty Dillinger on October 10th, 10-10, and there's no perfect 10. What a travesty. So those are my thoughts on Raw and SmackDown this week. And if you look at the scoreboard here in terms of total weekly wins, for the first time in a very, very long time in the history of this segment, we have a tie. Raw has come back and tied things up with SmackDown. Very interesting what a superstar shakeup will do for you. Let me know what you guys thought about the shows this week in the comments section below, and be sure to vote which show you thought was better in the gimmick in the upper right-hand corner of your screen. Be sure to thumbs up this video if you like it, subscribe to Wrestling with Regret, buy the t-shirts at ProWrestlingTees.com, and check out Patreon.com/WrestlingWithRegret for exclusive perks and some bonus content. I'm Brian Zane, and I'll see you next time.